2 by 2, 7 rows deep, and rolling up to the start-finish line. Looks like Asher going a little bit off track as the inside.
As they can. Saber making an amazing dive into turn 1.
And electroshocks off. Eggful gets the move.
But MNU trying to take a move.
Big contact from 5 different punches.
Big incident with Snowdog, our leader.
As we head into town row, it's a big crash. It's a big crash between the two title contenders.
Yep. All right. Hi, everyone. Apologies for the delay. I do believe we are live now, so we have come out live here. And yeah, welcome in to the midway point of our season here. The third round, apologies, of our Simufur iRacing Porsche Cup season here at Hockenheimring, Baden-Württemberg. I have completely butchered that pronunciation, but that's going to be okay because I'm going to be here. Me, Denak, Kalmari, and my co-commentator, Wolfin, Ravenloft. And here behind the cameras is going to be Maurer. So how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a wonderful day so far.
So far, so good. It's been, other than my minor eye issue, all has been well. And looks like at Hockenheim, it's going to be a nice, quiet race as far as weather is concerned. It's a bit cloudy, but nothing to complain about. We are expected to have no rain for this session, so hopefully, I'm going to knock on wood here, that it stays that way as we've now entered qualifying. This will be a 20-minute qualifying session, and it will be a non-split. So that'll make things. It basically becomes a free-for-all as the first cars are now coming out onto the track. This should make things very interesting as they get their tires warmed up.
Yes, it's going to be very exciting qualifying indeed, and we're going to be following along with Jordan Johnson, who is the current championship leader of our whole race here. They are leading with a pretty, not the biggest lead at the moment. They are sitting at 52 points over their co-competitor, Sarvan Fiedler, who is sitting behind them at 45 points, and behind that's going to be Philip Beckervold in 42 points. So while the gaps are somewhat large, like about 7-point difference to Jordan Johnson and their rival Sarah Van Cleveland behind them, as we see them going very wide on that exit of turn 6 there. Gonna be a very treacherous place to drive there. But yeah, with this being a 2-race format, with both races giving you quite a lot of points here, the points can swing massively. I mean, we already saw in the first round that Jordan Johnson just had a huge retirement in the second race that caused them to give no points at all here. So with Hockenheim being it's a very fun track, but there's also going to be, from what I've heard from before, that there's going to be potentially some, they call banditry involved here. So we'll see if the drivers are going to be making it through at the race here. But for now, we're going to be focusing on qualifying. It's going to be almost time for Jordan's first hot lap here.
Yeah, as we follow along now with Jordan Johnson, he should be setting up right now.
Yep, that's going to be turns 15 and 16 and heading on to the main straight. That's going to be our first lap around Hockenheim. Toward with Jordan Johnson, they're going to be unleashing that Porsche Boxster power on this very short main straight before they're going to be sending it very fast and sharp, a little bit before the 50-meter sign here to that turn 1 corner here, going all the way out there within track limits there. Again, finding that traffic on the outside lane here before they're going to be setting themselves up for that very tight turn 2. They're just tipping that car in, having a pretty nice tight exit so it can just unleash all the power and keep it flat out through turn 3 and then 4 over to this really long sweeping parabolic curve. Yeah, this is going to be a chance for our drivers to breathe in, get themselves ready, get themselves set up for this is going to be the tightest turn of the entire track and probably the tightest turn of our entire race calendar for this season. It's going to be turn 6 Spritzkarre, I think that's how you do it. Anyway, before the 150-meter board here, just slamming down those brakes down to first gear, tipping the car around with a really nice and sharp exit over onto this back straight here, heading towards that turn 7 corner. Again, a bit of a time to breathe here before they're going to be, again, tapping the brakes a little bit to get the car rotating around the nice and tight line there. The inside going to be sending themselves all the way out to the outside track here. So then again, tip it out on the inside, another very tight turn 8 corner, heading down towards the left side here, towards turn 9. Then again, a little bit leave us on the brakes here towards turn 9, then towards turn 10. Another mid-straight corner here. Got to be another potential for an overtaking opportunity over here. But they've got to be sending themselves down very fast into turn 11, that mobile 1 curve there. And got to be going to this very famous stadium section. The big famous slightly banked hairpin turn where many dramatic moments have happened throughout the recent seasons, throughout the years of Hockenheim here. Going to be then going all the way out to the curbing here, then again cutting off the inside, heading towards turn 13, then 14, 15, 16. It's going to be a very complicated corner 6 where you're going to be swinging out wide, then back on the brakes again, tipping it right in with a nice good unleash of power on this main straight. That's going to be all the way out to the curb.
That's a bit wide.
Just within track limits there, but that's going to be a lap around the track with a very dominant 38.49 to right off the bat here. So very good outlap for Jordan Johnson right away.
Yes, so far, I don't think that's going to be a hard time to beat, as I say that. Paliqui Grant with a 138.8 for their opening lap. That's not bad. This should make things very interesting. And Pischetti has also just said in times that's going to set off our top 3 with a 147.89. And as I say that, that has been changed to Toombi, who has now set a 139.405. Oh, the times are flying.
Update. Yeah, that's going to be a 38.3, a little bit under 38.3 here from Philip Beckerbold here, who is the other rival in our top 3 fight for the championship title here. We also see Sarah Van Fiedler there in the background, but I don't think they have put in a valid lap on the board yet. But yeah, already right off the bat here, there's going to be very tight competition here. And Panic Grand is not to be discounted either, because they are also part of the championship. They unfortunately were not able to participate in the first round of our season because they had other commitments at the time here, but they were very competitive in the last round here. So we're going to be watching very close to see if they will be able to get into that top 3 fight as well.
I think so. I was able to watch that stream. I unfortunately was not here to watch last week because of Easter commitment, and it was very tight. Pally did set the fastest time. They could do it again, so it could make this race very interesting if Pally's able to hold off Jordan Johnson for this round.
Very interesting indeed. Now we're going to be watching on board with, well, not on board, but just watching Sarah Van Fiedler here going around that midsection here, heading towards turns 11 and 12 here, chasing down Philip Beckerbold here. It's not going to be quite close enough for them to get a slipstream here, but just following another car behind could also help you a little bit, just getting your lines right, maybe getting a bit of an idea on how your other competitors are doing the same laps around it, because this is indeed a spec series, so everybody's going to be driving the exact same car, exact same machinery. So this could be a little bit of a help on figuring out yourself how you're going to be doing the track here, but it looks like Sarah Van Fiedler is not having any issues at all here, just tipping themselves all the way out to the edge of turns 15, then towards the exit of turn 16 here, all the way to the curb as you want to do it across the finish line. That's going to be a pretty good time. That's going to be up
P5.
in P5 with a 35.2, so still quite a ways off from Jordan Johnson, about a second off at the end here, but with about 50 minutes to go here, there's still plenty of time to find improvement.
Yeah, definitely. It's still really early on. These drivers are probably just setting themselves up right now. They may come in at some point, maybe make some minor adjustments to tires or something like that, and maybe see if they can eke out just a few more tenths to maybe make that, make those positions. You follow along now with, I believe this is
Daniel Surex, who is a Red Bull racing driver.
Ah, okay. I didn't recognize the livery at all, so...
yeah, I don't think they were able to get a livery in time for this series here, but they are indeed a Red Bull racing driver here. First time for us in a long time. They used to be a regular appearance in our Simufur leagues quite a few years ago. They also used to be in our stewarding team in Simufur, but for now, they're just going to be here driving, having some fun with the Porsche Cup car in their, well, not their home track. They're from Austria, but close enough, I'd say.
Close enough. Close enough. It's fairly close. You know... It's about as close as Belgium is to France. Oh wait, I think that's closer.
I mean, they're sharing a border, so it is close enough.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the Red Bull Ring, but we're not going to be driving in Red Bull Ring this season, sadly. So I guess this is going to be the closest Surex is going to be having to a home track. But they seem to be pretty comfortable around there. They already got themselves a 39.3, which is about a second off from George Johnson. Also, about only less than a tenth off from their German rival SR and people right ahead on this. So this is going to be quite a competitive split for sure. Like in the top 7, there's only about a second separating between it. In the top 3, there's only 2 tenths. So quite a nice fight so far.
Yeah, so far so good. This looks like it's going to be fairly interesting as far as times are concerned. I'm looking at them right now on our feed, and it looks like between the top 10, the gap seems to be, I almost want to say, about a second. So that should make things very interesting come race time, as we see Sarah van Vieplin is heading out of the hairpin, heading down toward the historic stadium section. It looks like they've improved a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be enough to maybe gain a position. We'll have to see as they head down towards, I believe this is 13 and 14. Looking at it now, it should be a decent time. I don't know if it'll be enough to improve, but we'll wait and see. Here they come down toward the last bit of the track, hitting in the stadium section as they go very wide there. That might be invalid. That'd be so unfortunate. They only had a couple more corners to go, but they really pushed it wide there, heading into the corner. Here they come down toward 2 corners to go, heading down into the last corner. Now 1 more straight to go. Should be. Is it going to be enough? No, it isn't. Oh, it is.
Oh, it is actually. Yeah, that was a bit of a
It is an improvement.
Yeah. Small improvement, but speaking of improvements, we also have Philip Beckerbold already supplanting Jordan Johnson at the top of the leaderboard here with a 37.9. So the first 37 lap time of our qualifying session so far. So Jordan Johnson definitely has their work cut up for them. Philip Beckerbold is also one of our drivers who has always been very fast in qualifying. So they're definitely going to be up there at the top, ready to challenge them. We're going to be keeping our eyes now on Jordan Johnson here, going down through the mid-straight, heading towards turns 11, 12 there. But in fact, they are not going to be doing that. They're going to be going off the track here, resetting to the pits for another run there. So maybe they couldn't get the run they wanted here, so they're going to be trying again later. We're going to be switching now all focus to Toomby, another German driver. This is going to be their home race, so they're absolutely going to be wanting to do very good around here.
And they are so far P6. That's not bad. They're going to be, looks like they're going to be fighting against their fellow German driver, Sarah van Vieplin, for that top 5 spot. It should make things very interesting. They've been very competitive so far in this series, so this should make things very interesting going into the race as they head now down into Mobile 1 curve, heading up toward turn 12. And now it looks like there's some debris on the track. It looks like somebody may have gone wide, and somebody did go wide. I think that's Pischetti that has gone very wide going into turn 12 and kind of messed up Toomby there a little bit because they were in a very awkward spot. I don't know if it's going to affect their time. We'll see in a second as they come across the line. Yeah, unfortunately, no improvement. But that's not an improvement. That's a second and a half. That was very unfortunate. Thankfully, they're able to control the car, but unfortunately, they lost that lap almost immediately.
Yeah, you need to really go fast in turn 1 to get yourself an optimal exit towards turn 2. It's going to be a pretty long time there. So if you just go a little bit too hard, you're going to be bouncing on the exit runoff here. But thankfully, there is a lot of runoff there to catch your car out. Where there is not a lot of runoff is in turn 12, where I think some Germans might have some traumatic memory. So I think that's all we need to say about that. Now we're going to keep our attention on F-Spirit there with their brand new blue and golden liveried Porsche Cup car. I think they're going to be very familiar with the E621 theme there. I don't think we need to say any more on what that specific website happens to be, but this is the kind of theme they've decided to have for their car there. They're going to be doing pretty good there so far with a pretty solid 138.825. I don't think they're on too much of an improvement at the moment here, looking at their sector times here. So might need another lap around there to get more improvement here. But looking at our other German drivers on the board here, we also have Vossi Tekris, who is not quite to the level of our other Porsche Cup drivers here at the moment here. They're only sitting at P12 at the moment with a 39.414, but they do seem to be on a slight improvement here. They're now going around to the main straight, heading over to the parabolic curve here, just unleashing all that Porsche Boxer power here, hoping to get probably a very good exit heading into turn 6. We also have another German driver of Niklas Zahn, who is also in the race. But we're going to be keeping our attention on Vossi Tigris here at the moment here. Going to be slamming on those brakes heading into turn 6 here, hoping to get themselves a nice, good exit. And this turn is going to be the place where everybody's going to be making those overtakes happen. Going very wide on the exit of turn 6 here. I think that may have been an invalid lap time there, but we'll see later. But yeah, turn 6, that's going to be quite an interesting place for our drivers, especially on lap 1.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was close enough. It was bare, like they were. That's not valid though. I don't think that one will be valid. That was very wide going in to that corner and heading now down toward turn 12, I believe it is.
That's turn 11.
Oh, 11. Why am I always off by one? Yeah,
turn
mobile
12
one
is
curve.
the banking curve, and right here, this one.
Yeah. Ah, okay, yeah. I am always off by one. I don't understand it. I never understand it. When I make a guess on something, it's always one.
Speaking of overtakes, like, turn 6 is going to be a good spot, and turn 12 is also going to be a really good spot for overtakes. We saw a very gigantic, amazing overtake that happened right into turn 12 in the in-real life DTM season last year, and I was there in person to see it. It's definitely a very fun place to watch in person some actual fun GT3 and Porsche Cup racing, and perhaps we'll also see some good fun racing here later today. It's going to be, again, 2 30-minute sprints back-to-back. First race is going to be just done with the qualifying results of our qualifying here, and then the race after this is going to be starting grid based on the results of the first race, except the top 10 being reversed. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on here. Now we're going to be keeping our eye on Niklas Zahn here, who's also trying to go for an improvement here, heading down into turn 6 here. Again, let's see if they can get a bit of a better exit as opposed to their rival, Vossi Tigris here. They look to be a bit slow on the exit there, but they seem to be still on a pretty good lap here, so we're going to be keeping an eye on them as they now head towards turn 7 and then towards turn 8.
Yep, 7 and turning into 7 and 8. It looks like it's still an improvement. So far, so good. No issues so far. And now heading into turn 10 on their way to the Mobile 1 curve. And nice line so far. This should be.
You went the other way around there. You went from turn 12 to turn 10. It's turn 11.
It's
okay, but I think we saw somebody going off on the background there. I think that may be one of the other Cabal drivers. I think that may be in 1v there in the background. So, yeah, I think that was a pretty bad runoff place to be having there. The gravel there is definitely not your friend. So, very wide there on the exit of
not only wide, I
but they seem to be. Yeah, looks to be nice and tight there. I think they still got themselves a valid lap in the end here, but let's see if that was going to be an actual improvement or not. That was indeed a no, so they're going to have to go around again for another attempt.
Yeah, another attempt. And I also want to point out that was it looked like, at least from my perspective, it looked like they hit that curve in the rear end, kind of kicked out a little bit, and they were able to save it. So they probably lost a lot of time there. But you know, that was my perspective, because it just looked like the rear end of that car was just trying to, it's best to slide out to the outside, and we were able to kind of let off and save it. But now heading down the Parabolica into turn 6, Spitz curve. And now, so far, wow, oh, that was a little bit slow, very tight going into the corner. That's going to cost them a fair bit of time. And not only that, they've got the current pole holder, I guess is the best way to pull it, Philip Beckevold, right behind them. That should make things a little bit awkward for both of them, because obviously they do not want to hold up Philip, but they at the same time they need to set on their own lap time. So we'll see how this goes. Heading down into turn 11, now heading to turn 12. I got it right this time.
Yay, you got it. Let's go.
Turn 12. Going out of turn 12. Nice and easy. So far, so good. Looks like this is going to be a bit of an improvement for them. At the very least, it's going to be a little bit better. Again going into 14 and 15, the car gets a little bit loose. I don't think it's going to affect them that much. We'll see how it goes. Here we go, and it looks like no improvement, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, no improvement again, and it looks like Philip Beckevold is getting closer lap corner by corner here, so I think at some point Niklas Zahn might just have to back out of this lap here and let them by again, but we're going to be watching that very closely here. Philip Beckevold has not so far done any other improvements, but neither has Jordan Johnson or Palico Grant right behind it. They've all been hovering around those mid to low 38 lap times here. With only we only have 4 minutes left here, so we're not going to be having too many attempts to do a lap around here because the Hockenheimring is a pretty long track. Lap times are out in the 140s here, so I think it's going to be maximum 2 or 3 laps all of our competitors have a chance to do here. So with Philip but also actually never mind. That's going to be Nicholas Zahn bowing out of the way of the current pole sitter here to slot themselves back behind another car. I'm not quite sure who the car behind them is here, but looks like they're going to be in nice, good traffic here to just get themselves more laps in.
It's a Roadrunner car. I remember the name. I just can't. I don't remember the name. I just remember the car. Oh, it's Moonstar. There we go. It's Moonstar. I believe their name. So, they are one of our more. They are more of our more iRacing focused drivers. So happy to see them here. They seem to be doing well so far. I'd have to look at where they are. They are P17 at the moment, just behind Inigo. That sounds weird. I don't know why it just sounds weird.
It sounds weird to pronounce your own team boss's name correctly. How does that make any sense?
I don't know. 3 years of saying it wrong. It sounds weird, okay?
Having to rewire that one brain cell is going to be taking a while here. Anyway, going to be going across the finish line for Philip Beckerwood. Not an improvement for Philip Beckerwood, but they are going very hard on the turn 1 there lap here. In fact, they were a bit too hard. They had to lap time. And in fact, I don't think they have any more time to do any more laps here, so they have opted to head back into the pits. And we're going to be keeping an eye now on Inigo Lopez there, going over turn 1 here. But they went very wide on that exit curve there, but they share... Actually, I'm incorrect. That was actually not Inigo. That was actually Panic Ground. Their cars are just both very similar in looking here, so... Yeah, unfortunately, Inigo, and that's going to be Chris Clipper in the background there also, not able to get any more improvements here because they got their track limits, so their lap times are invalidated, so we're going to be keeping our attention on Jordan Johnson here, our last chance to see if there's going to be a shake-up in the pole position, in the pole sitter.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like this is going to be Jordan's last chance, unless they bow out in the next lap, or unless they try to push to the next lap. That's a bit of a hard hit, but they're really pushing now. They're trying to get that. I believe they only need 2/10, which is not impossible. You can see they're really pushing it, going very wide, going in the Mobile 1 curve, heading into turn 12. So far, so good. Looks like they're really it's at the very least gonna be a slight improvement. Heading down toward turn 13 and 14, now down to the last curve. Will this be enough for Jordan to steal away pole at the very last moment? Heading down toward the main straight, is the answer going to be yes? It is not. Wow, it's not.
Not quite, no. So that's going to be it because we have 15 seconds left here, and as soon as the clock hits at that 20-minute timer, there's going to be about 8 seconds, and then everybody's going to be teleported to the pit. So that was Jordan Johnson's last chance to get any improvement here. So that's going to be locking out the pole position for Philip Beckerbold. Jordan Johnson right behind that. That's going to be also Palek Wigrad in P3 and Toomby in P4. So our first German driver here sitting in the second row of our grid here. It's going to be quite impressive. Now it's going to be almost time for a qualifying here, and the gridding times happens very quickly in our series here, so we're not going to have time to go for a full grid walk here. But congratulations to our top 4 for a very good qualifying.
Yeah, the top 4 being Philip Beckervold, Jordan Johnson, Palek Grant, and then Toomby. Toomby snuck it into us out of nowhere, I believe. Like, I had not been kind of paying attention to our timing, and I think they just got something really, really good at the very last minute, and were able to sneak away that P5 from S-Spirit. This means that our Netherlands driver of S-Spirit is kind of surrounded by 2 German drivers. That should make things very interesting.
I hope you're not implying anything with that statement.
No, I am not implying anything with that statement. I don't
even
know.
Just making sure.
I don't even know what I'd imply. I'm being real. I'm being for real. I don't even know what I would imply.
Historical references, but we don't need to worry about that. That's going to be almost part of the race here. Waiting for everybody to... Yeah.
Legitimately forgot about that. Legitimately forgot about that. Oops.
Anywho, we're going to be waiting for maybe another minute or so for all of our drivers to get done with their gridding here. So it's going to be a very short run into turn 1, but the first overtaking opportunities are going to be happening in turn 2. So we're going to be watching that very closely. We're going to be hoping to see maybe any second now. We're going to be seeing our 5 red lights coming up on the screen here. So, yeah, I guess now going to be a chance for everybody to have a nice little refreshing drink here because we're not going to be having any chance to breathe here once the racing starts.
No, we are not. I believe even the last race was pretty chaotic. This should be just the same as we wait for the last two drivers to lock in. So hopefully everything goes well.
Yep, waiting for one more car, I believe, to get on the grid here to get ready for our race to start here. So again, it's going to be a 30-minute sprint race. I'm not quite sure how many laps it's going to be, but we're going to be seeing that once we're going to be done with her. It's going to be now 2 minutes up, so I think one more minute to go here, unless Maurer fast. No, there we go. It's going to be now ready. Everybody's going to be revving their engines, getting ready. It's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's going to be go, 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 go. All of them getting a really good launch here with Felipe Beckable and John Johnson right behind them at the back. That's also going to be Falcui Grand. They're getting a really good launch right on the outside of Jordan Johnson there. A very good launch indeed, but it's going to be now going side by side. It seems like Jordan Johnson got themselves a better launch now, going down into that very crucial turn 2 corner. That looks like Philip Becker getting a massive launch there, way ahead of everybody here. So there's going to be nobody challenging them going down into turn 2. It seems like everybody else made it through fine. We also see Feepon there in the background getting themselves hustled by F-Spirit there. So very good racing so far. That's going to be
there's trouble.
I think that's going to be I think that might be Pescetti there in the background, just getting contact by some other cars in the back. They're going to be sliding all the way to the back of that. So it's going to be 1v, and I think that also Newbie that also got connected in that inside. So that's going to be something we have to watch there, but that's going to be going down into turn 6 here. 7 cars back to back there with nobody making any change there in position. So it's going to be nice and tight here. I think there was a bit of contact here between, I think that was F-Spirit and Christian Clipper there in the background. But so far, a bit of chaos at the Parabolica, but it seems like everybody else made it through in one piece.
Yeah, it looks like everybody, I couldn't tell how many cars were involved, but it looked like it was going to be a fair few heading down into, out of turn 7 and heading into turn 8, or I believe it's turn 9 and turn 10 now. Philip Beckerville still with a fairly large gap as they head down into the Mobile 1 curve. Jordan slowly but surely getting, I mean, you can see they're really pushing, trying to make that gap just a little bit smaller, but so far, no massive improvement, but we'll see as the race comes along.
Well, they are still not within, not outside of slipstream range for Jordan Johnson. Yes, you can see their gap is just shrinking down quarter by quarter there. The gap is now only 3/10 as they go to their next lap around the track. We also see Palico Grant there under threat from not one German, but also 2 Germans. That's going to be Toombi and Fieblen right behind them, also chasing down them, they're heading into turn 2 there. So there's not going to be much of a chance going into turn 2 there, but I think through turn 5 Parabolica there, they're going to be using that slipstream to massive gains here. We're going to watch it very closely. I think everybody got themselves a very nice and clean exit, but that does mean that Toombi is going to be slowly inching in here as we go down to this very long sweeping left-hander here. I don't think this gap is going to be quite there for them to make a send happen unless they're going to be very, very brave going into turn 6 there. Doesn't look to be the same for Beckevold or Johnson either here. Now going through turn 6, they're going to be almost touching bumpers. Jordan Johnson nearly missing. But Philip Beckevold's a bumper there, so everybody made it through in one piece there, but Jordan is definitely pushing hard to try and get past Philip Beckevold.
Yeah, absolutely. They almost made contact, and I believe the reason that Paliqui kind of got shoveled back is they went very wide into the last corner before the lap completed, but they were able to save it, but unfortunately it cost them a lot of time that they're now going to need to gain back as we are going to be keeping an eye on this. I believe we're going to be trying to see what happened on lap 1 at some point. Here we go. We're going to be on board with Daniel, with Shurex heading down toward the Parabolica. Let's see what happens. It looks like just a random spin. Indigo, very lucky. So many cars lucky. We're able to save it, but
yeah,
that could have been.
Cold
that
tires
could have
on
been
lap 1 just means they just lost the rear on there. But I think there was also another incident that happened between Pescetti and some other driver. Maybe we'll see a replay of that later. Also, looking at my differentials here, it looks like Starkey Faraday has unfortunately retired from the race. They are currently in the pit lane. They're 1 lap down there. So I think that could be one of the cars that have been involved. I also see there's Banu Citroen, Daniel Surex, Moonstar, Aldonis, and Charter, who are all at the very bottom of the package. So that seems to be the 4 cars that were involved in that incident earlier. But we're going to be now keeping our eye on Pescetti, who's now trying to claw their way back up the field, and going to be having a battle with the Tigan racing driver of Suzuki Bun right there ahead of them. So going down now into, I think that's going to be turns 2 and 3 heading towards the Parabolica curve here. So we're going to be getting a very wide exit from Pescetti. We're going to be getting right into the rear bumper of Zuzi Bun there, going down into turn 5. It doesn't look like Zuzi is defending that too hard here. Yeah, Pescetti is managing to get alongside them. So it's got to be a very nice clean sin going down into turn 6 there. Nice tight line there. And that's going to be in pass for Pescetti. So a good line there. Now we're looking at the rest of our track here. We also see a lot more fight happening here. I don't think the gap has really shrunken a lot between Beckerbolt or Johnson at the front there, but it's staying around that same 3/10, 4/10 area there. So it's going to be a lot of pressure put on a Beckerbolt there to just try and keep their car in the absolute right place. And we're going to be now watching Vossi Tigris now having been chased down by their fellow German driver Niklas Zahn going down into turn. It's going to be a big set. It's going to be almost contact between them and Futaku right in front of them. So that was a very lucky chance that they did not get any more contact between them there. But Futaku seems to be a lot slower compared to the drivers behind them. So it's going to be a very, very awkward time going down now through turns 14, 15, 16. It's going to be a sweep on the inside heading onto the main street. That's going to be a drag race going down into turn 1. It looks like Vossi Tigris was finally able to make that move center. That's going to be hoping to see if Niklas Zahn, I think that's Inigo Lopez right behind them, also hoping to capitalize on this battle that's going to be happening ahead of them. But no, looks like Niklas Zahn decided to back out there at the end there. But they're going to be maybe thinking about ascent going down into turn 2. No, not quite yet there. It's going to be again 4-car fight there. Now going into the very, very long sweeping left-hander here. So we're going to be watching closely to see if there are going to be many more changes happening in position here. Looks like Futaku got a really good launch going into that main straight there. So it's going to be having a chance to use the slipstream on Vossi Tigris. So it's going to be a sitting tiger there going up. They're going to be forcing to go on that defensive inside line there to try and defend from being overtaken by Futaku. It looks like they're able to just get that going there. And yeah, it's going to be very wide from Futaku there. We're giving an opportunity for Zahn to also make a peek there, but no, they ended up backing out there in the end. It's going to be now positions, Vossi, Futaku, Niklas Zahn, and then Inigo right behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very tight fight. It looks like it's still not going to end anytime soon as we see this 4-way fight for the top 10. Now remember, the next race will be a reverse top 10 grid, so whoever holds that top 10 spot will be P1 in the next race. So this is a very contested spot that you'd probably want if you want to say maybe try to go for, at the very least, a podium heading down into turn 12, out of turn 13 and 14. This battle is not ending anytime soon. We can see Inigo just outside of this fight. I think maybe just trying to wait to see what'll happen and maybe push later down the line after they've maybe worn themselves out to see if maybe they can make at least 1 or 2 positions heading down toward turn 2. It looks like this fight's not over yet at all, as we can see Vossi Tigris getting under immense pressure from Futaku, looking on the outside, but I don't think there's going to be anything gained heading down into Parabolica. Futaku got set up, as we said, now for the battle for the lead. This is going to be Jordan Johnson versus Philip Beckevold. This is also a very contested fight, and it's also allowing Pelican Grant to gain a little bit of time. Here we go down toward turn 7 into turn 8, heading now down toward turn 9 and 10. Here we go. You can see Pally slowly but surely gaining a little bit of time. This is going to be a 3-way fight for the lead heading out into turn 10. Philip taking it nice and easy, but Jordan goes a little bit wide, but I don't think it's going to affect them much. They're putting so much effort into that power out. As you see, Philip Beckevold going a little bit wide, going into turn 11, now heading into turn 12. In turn 12, looking on the inside was Jordan, but no going there. Now heading down toward one more opportunity for the slap into turn 13. I don't think they're going to really go for it unless there's a opportunity. You can see also Pally slowly but surely reeling the 2 of them in. Heading down into the last corner, all 3 go very wide, full bore into the last corner, heading down into turn 1. Philip with a very good run going into turn 1. No goings there. Now heading into turn 2. This is going to be the first braking section. Is Jordan going to try to make a move? No, there's just not enough gap here heading into turn 2. But now they have to play a little bit defense right now because Pally is right on the bumper of Jordan Johnson as they head down into Parabolica. Now heading into turn 6. This probably will not be a passing opportunity. As you can see, everything's kind of evening out here. But so far, this is going to be a very tight fight for the lead.
Very tight fight, very close fighting, but no change in position here so far. It looked like Jordan Johnson had a bit of a loose moment going through turn 13 and 14, which lost them all the gains they had on those early laps. So Philip Beckerwood getting a bit of a breathing room there in the background, and also looks like Panic Guard is just clinging on, trying to get as close as possible to this fight in the background there. So there's maybe Panic is hoping that there's going to be more fight happening between these two there, which is going to give Panic the opportunity to also get around there, but no change in position so far. But we also do see fighting happening there in the back. I think that's going to be, I think maybe Inigo Lopez there, just overtaking Futaku for P30. It looks like Futaku is just not able to hold the same pace as Zan, Inigo, or Vossi Tiggersnafe. Now slopped all the way down into P30, but they're not going to be giving up that position easily. They're still hounding the rear bumper of that Blue Shark E-Racing team car. They're going down into 11, go to turn 12. That could be a very good launch from Futaku there. This might be an opportunity for them to make a stand going down into turn 12 there. There's going to be, no, not quite enough. They're going to be backing out of that movement there, but they're still right there in the rear view mirror, in their rear bumper even there, going now through 14, 15, 16. This very tight double right-hander compass. They're trying to swing all the way out wide, hook it in again with a nice launch, a much better launch there, bouncing on those curbs. They're almost going onto the gravel there, but still no change in position. But Inigo, it's not going to be under a lot of threat from Futaku.
Yeah, absolutely. They are doing their best to defend. As we see, Futaku goes very wide into turn 1. Looks like they hit that curb, but I don't think it affected them too much because they're right still on the bumper of Inigo Lopez heading down into turn 2. Are they going to try to make a move? No, they are not. They're going to sit on the bumper of Inigo Lopez heading into turns 3 and 4. We are now on to the Parabolica section. As we can see, Futaku trying desperately to try to make a move, trying to figure out where they can send it. It looks like they're going to try to send it into turn 6, but I don't think that's going to be the wisest of moves. Heading down into turn 6, it looks like they opened the door on the inside. They're going to try to do it. Is Indigo going to try to go for an overgunner? Yes, absolutely. That's what the case is. They absolutely send it going into turn 6, but sets them wide. Indigo on the inside, Futaku on the outside, going down the main straight, heading down into turn 7. Looking on the inside, looks like Indigo is able to save it, but for how long remains to be seen. Heading into turn 9 and 10. So far, it looks like Indigo's now starting to pull away again, giving them that much needed breathing. That was a very intense fight between these two, but I don't think it's going to be over any time yet.
Intense fighting for sure. You can still see Futaku trying to extract every single inch of track on this Hockenheimring there. Again, almost brushing Inigo's rear bumper going through into turn 12. We also see in the background there was also, I think it was Electroshock. They're going very loose on the exit of turn 10 there, but they were able to save it, hopefully, thankfully. But now it's going to be keeping our attention on Futaku there. Again, getting a much better exit of most of these corners here, which keeps them in that attacking range of Inigo Lopez there. Again, using that slipstream to their advantage, trying to maybe set themselves up for a nice overtake going down into turn 2 there. Almost 2 wheels on the bouncing on the curb on turn 1 there, but somehow still keeping it in line there, in control. They're now going to be heading into turn 2 there, hoping to maybe set themselves up with a really good exit there. Looks like Inigo goes a little bit too wide. They're losing all that exit speed there, which gives Futaku the chance to get right up into the rear bumper of Inigo. That's going to be now Inigo looking to have a defensive inside line there, going down into turn 6 there, so that's got to be Futaku trying to get a move around the outside. That's going to be a risky place to do.
Yeah, very risky going into turn 6. Here we go. Inigo looking to hold the inside line as we see Futaku try to make a little bit of a move on the outside. No goings there, and they go a bit wide going out of turn 6. This is going to give Inigo just a little bit of a gap to head into turn 7. But remember, last time they did this, it was a fairly big scrap heading into turn 7. But it looks like, as we see them, it looks like they broke just a little bit too late and almost made contact into Inigo Lopez. They were able to back out of it. I don't think there was any contact made, but it was very close. But it lost them so much time going into the corner as we follow along now with this battle for the lead as we see them going very loose. Philip Beckenwald doing everything they can to hold off the charging Jordan Johnson. This fight is back on, heading down into turn 2. Once again, Jordan taking up every inch of the track that he can, gets 2 wheels on the ground, heading into turn 2. This is going to be the first braking opportunity to make a move. It is not going, though. Heading down into turns 3 and 4. Now looking for an opportunity. It looks like Jordan's going to try to maybe take the inside line, but no goings there. Now following along with Philip Beckenwald into turn 6. Jordan, I'd also like to point out, currently has the fastest lap of 1:38.1. They are definitely the fastest driver as they head down into turn 6. They're going to make an absolute send going into turn 6, holding onto the line. This might be position done and dusted. Heading down into turn 7, it looks like Vekavold is going to try to maybe make a move on the inside. Heading into turn 7, it looks like they're going to really scrap it out. Heading into turn 7, it is now a three-way fight. This was the moment that Palakwi was waiting for. They are right now all together, not even a half a second against each other, heading into turn 8, but this might be position gain for Jordan Johnson as they head down toward turn 10. This fight is still not over. Heading into turn 10, now into turn 11, and into turn 12, it looks like it's not over just yet. Heading now out of turn 12, it looks like Jordan slowly but surely trying to gain that open air. And it looks like he may start pulling away, but Phil Beckenvold's day isn't done yet. He's still got Palakwi Grant right on the inside of himself, looking down toward the main straight. It looks like Pally is going to try to maybe make a move later down the line, but it looks like right now Jordan's starting to pull away.
Looks like this was the move that Jordan Johnson wanted to get there, finally away from the traffic that was Philip Beckham already ahead of him. They're now able to just extend themselves a little bit, but they are still very much within slipstream of Beckevold and Palakwi Grant right behind them, so they're gonna have to watch their beers very closely here. Looks like the gap is a little bit larger between Beckevold and Jordan Johnson this lap than it was in last lap, so I don't think there's gonna be an opportunity for Beckevold to make a send happen on turn 6 down. They're feeling very, very optimistic here, but I don't think that's gonna be happening. That's gonna be keeping our attention now between Panu Sitonen and Parker Olsen going down into turn 1 and 2. That's gonna be very wide, bouncing on the curbs with Panu Sitonen now on the inside, heading down into turn. That's gonna be a good opportunity for them to make that send happen here. There's also Fudaku in the background there, but no, it's gonna be Parker also trying to make a huge send on the outside, but that's not going to work. They're going to be massively overshooting their brakes, which is not going to be given an opportunity for Futaku to sneak up on the outside. There's going to be a side-by-side drag race battle. Both cars trying to get that slipstream von Peschetti's car right ahead and hoping to get that send happen there, but it looks like Futaku has the better inside line there going down into turn 6, so that's going to be a better chance for them to hopefully get a move on the outside there. Peschetti, I think they're trying to just squeeze Futaku on the outside, but no, Futaku has the better run up on the inside, finally making that send happen there. So very nice scrapping here, but it looks like all those have happened from just one bad braking move.
Yeah, absolutely, but unfortunately this is not Futaku, this is Moonstar.
Oh yes, I apologize, there's
Analyze
same teams, yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah. We are all allowed to have a brain cell.
They're still going door to door. They're going door to door, side by side through turn 10 here. I think a bit of an off-track moment from Moonstar caused them to lose the ground to Parker Olsen, who's now going to be trying to send it again on the outside, now turning into inside, heading into 11 now to turn. That's going to be Parker Olsen with a brave switch back, but it's going to be too brave. They're going to be sending Moonstar into the gravel trap. They're going to be spinning them around there, so a bit too brave from Parker Olsen there, who now has decided to park it on the track there and just wait for Moonstar to come by again. But where that fighting is not over, it's going to be now Beckevold going down on the outside into turn 6 here. Both
there was contact.
Brushing bumpers there. A bit of contact between them, but Jordan Johnson has the better defensive inside line there going into turn 6 here. There's not going to be a chance for Beckevold to make that send happen, but there's going to be an opportunity for our Palakwi Grant there in the background to join this fight again there. Maybe also looking to capitalize on this fighting happening between Beckevold and Jordan Johnson. There's again, Palakwi now watching this whole fight happening. It's going to be Beckevold making a send on the inside into turn 8. That's going to be again turning 8, now turning into outside, now into the inside, going into turn 10 and 11. The cars still side by side. They've been side by side since turn 6 there with no change in position. It is going to be incredible to see if they're going to make it through in one piece. That's going to be Jordan Johnson sneaking ahead, going into the hairpin there, but now there's going to be less than a 10th between these three cars there. It's going to be insane racing.
Absolutely insane racing, heading down out of 12. So far, Jordan was able to save it for the time being, but it's not over yet. The three drivers are still coming out of the last corner, heading down toward the main straight. This will be the main moment, I think. It looks like Jordan's going to try to do their best to hold the outside line going into turn 1. Now heading into turn 2. Both drivers go very wide. That was a very wide move. It looks like they hit the curb just a little bit too hard, and it looks like Philip Beckevold is going to get the better of it, heading down into turn 2, but it looks like they were able to break. Jordan was able to break just a little bit later to save themselves a little bit, and now they're gaining a lot of time heading down into the Parabolica into turn 6. it looks like, unfortunately, it looks like Jordan's going to get the better of this heading into turn 6. But who's also going to get the better of this is Paliqui Grant. They are right in the bumper. Philip Beckervold heading into turn 6, looking on the outside, or looking on the inside now. Now heading into turn 6, it looks like Jordan had a little bit of a wide moment, but didn't lose him a lot of time heading into turn 7. Now into turn 7, heading into 8 and 9 now, as well as now heading into turn 10. It looks like things are kind of evened out here, but the battle isn't over yet. It just looks like things are just kind of called down for the moment.
Calm down for a moment there, but they are absolutely not giving up yet here. With about 10 minutes left of the race to go here, anything can be gained or lost in these last 10 minutes here. We see Jordan Johnson going all the way out, almost into the gravel trap there in turn 11 there, but still holding all their ground strong inside. It looks like Palico Grant has also lost a little bit of ground to this top 2 cars there, but they are still all within slipstream range of each other. So I think the best thing Jordan Johnson would hope for right now is if Palico and Beckervold would be caught up in a battle between themselves, which would help Jordan Johnson finally break that toe from behind them and is finally breathing clean there. But no, I think Palico Grant is also being smart here by not being too aggressive, trying to hustle themselves around Beckervold there, hoping to just stay in that toe here, and then hoping that Beckervold is going to be the one putting pressure on Jordan Johnson there. So I think Palico has the best opportunity here to capitalize on these 2 cars fighting here. Now we're going to be watching with turn 2 here, both getting a very nice and tidy exit into turn 3, 4, and now heading into the parabolic turn 5 there, into the hairpin here. Looks like the gap is only 3/10 between Jordan and Beckervold there. So this could be a chance for Beckervold to make a scent on the inside there if they can just get close enough there. They're having a bit of a peak there on the inside there, but no, they decide to back out in the end there. They're just hoping to stay in that slipstream here, extend this gap, because you see in the back, that's going to be Feetblood and Neff there with no chance in heavens or other places there to make any overtakes happening on the background there. But it does look like there's a lot of happening in the background there as well. But we're going to be keeping our attention on Beckervold and Johnson there. Again, almost touching bumpers heading into turns 8 and 9 there, with again no change in position. Jordan Johnson managing to just about squeeze ahead of these 2 cars right behind them. So now it's going to be all for Jordan Johnson to lose for.
Absolutely everything for Jordan to lose heading down into turn 11. It looks like Beckervold is slowly but surely gaining on Jordan Johnson heading into turn 12. Is there going to be a move here? No, there isn't. They're going to sit behind them, and I think they're trying to play the little bit of the mind game here. They know that they can make an opportunity here, but they're waiting for the ample moment to make a move heading down into the last corner. So far, so good. It looks like Jordan cut in a little bit tight. This could be an issue as all 3 of them all touch the gravel going out of that last corner. It looks like it cost Beckervold the most time heading into turn 1, but so far it looks like Beckervold is losing a little bit of ground heading into turn 3 and 4. Here comes, or turn 2 and 3, I'm sorry. Heading into the section, it looks like heading on the inside. Yep. And right now it looks like they're heading down to the parabolic. So far, so good.
Yeah, looks like Jordan Johnson got themselves a better exit off turn 2 compared to Beckervold and Grant there, so they're able to breathe a little bit of clean here in the end here, so no change in position so far. But looking further down on our grid here, looks like a Palico Grant went very deep into the brakes. They're going into the hairpin here, almost collecting Beckervold there, so they have lost a lot of ground there now. Hope now they're going to have to work even harder to gain this difference back between them. But also, I want to note in the background there, I think that's going to be Toombi and Sarah Van Vlieten right behind them as well. They're having their own fight. There's going to be the battle of the Germans, hoping to get any more scraps of points. So looking at our last lap times here, it looks like Sarah Van Vlieten has been slowly trying to inch it closer to Toombi there in the background. So let's hope if they can get a little bit closer there, because a showdown between Germans in the German race track would be very fun to see.
Absolutely, this is going to make things very interesting. But it looks like Toombi is slowly but surely starting to pull away from Sarah Van Vlieten, heading now into turn 12. Toombi seems to be slowly but surely pulling away from this little pack here as they head down toward the to the last corner. I'm sorry. Now, out on the corner, they just barely touch the grass. They go very wide, but it looks like Sarah has touched the inside. It looks like this isn't going to gain them a lot of time, though, and things have kind of cooled down for the moment. But
something that is not cooling down, that's going to be the fight for the lead. That's going to be Beckervold Beckevold now going to be on the inside into turn 3. They're going to be side by side heading into the parabolic curve there. I think Beckevold just got the absolute best send possible in turn 2 that happened, that gave them the opportunity to contest. But now it's going to be Jordan Johnson on the inside heading into the hairpin. This could be them again reasserting themselves into the lead of the race. We're going to be watching them closely. Go door to door, side by side into turn 6 here. But yeah, Jordan is able to push them out wide and keep their position held here so far. But there's less than 2 tenths between them going down into turn 7 now. So there's still got to be a chance for Beckevold to assert themselves, trying to make a move on the outside, trying to force Jordan Johnson now the suboptimal outside line here, going into turns 9 and 10 here. But looks like Jordan managed to just about squeeze ahead. Now got to be pushing Beckevold right behind them into Paliqui Grant's arms there, heading down into turn 11, into that very tight technical hairpin corner there. Looks like, yeah, very strong defense from Jordan Johnson, able to hold off that assault from Beckevold.
Just barely they were able to hold them off. They just had the better positioning going into the corner, but they were not able, and Beckevold was just not able to make that move stick. It's very close now, but you can see Paliqui Grant is doing everything they can to kind of keep with this pack to see if maybe they can make a last-minute opportunity. Only 5 minutes left as they head down into turn 2. What a bounce going into turn 1, though. And so far, it looks like Pally is just going to kind of sit. It looks like they've been just sitting back and just waiting and hoping that they can make a move on the inside. Maybe. No, it looks like the gap's just not going to be there unless Philip Beckevold wants to be very brave, which is not what you want to do on turn 6. It's way too sharp. Heading down toward turn 6, it looks like Beckevold is going to hold the outside line, and then they're going to sweep on the inside. Is this going to be a dive? No, it's not, but it's going to put him right on the bumper of Jordan Johnson, heading down toward turn 7. Right now, they're heading
quite worked out, because they actually lost a bit of ground to Jordan Johnson, making that very bold send there, with got to be putting themselves even closer into Paliqui Grant there, but no change in position here so far. Heading again very deep in the brakes, going into turn 8 there, almost again collecting the front bumper of Paliqui Grant right behind them. So Beckevold, especially the car from these three, that's just absolutely sending it into every single corner here, just desperately trying to eke out every single inch of space, every single kilometer of speed to hopefully get around Jordan Johnson again here, which is going to be putting them under a lot more pressure. This could be also a chance for them to just slip up and make a mistake there. So with 4 minutes left of the race to go there, they're still just fighting hard there. But I feel like there could be something bad happening soon if they're going to keep pushing this hard.
Yeah, with such limited time, anything could happen. As we follow along, still along with this battle, you can see Pally just sitting kind of right behind Beckevold, almost pushing them along, trying to get them just a little bit closer. I think they almost want this fight to happen, and then they'll try to maybe pick up the scraps at the very end. But so far, they've just not been able to make that one crucial move to get the job done. So far, Pally's just been kind of sitting back with the popcorn, waiting for an opportunity to strike. And unfortunately, it looks like it's not going to work out, as we see that Jordan is slowly but surely starting to pull away a little bit here.
Yeah, they're extending the gap here, which is going to be giving Paliqui the opportunity to also start threatening Beckevold here. So this is going to be the situation that Paliqui wants here, because that's going to be Beckevold very deep on the brakes there, missing out their apex going into turn 6 here. But it's not going to be quite enough for Paliqui to try and force themselves alongside Beckevold. They're going to be slotting right behind them. But looks like Beckevold may have cooked their tires, maybe have pushed them a little bit too hard there, so they're losing the grip, they're losing the traction. And whereas Paliqui has not been pushing along there at all. Almost, I say that they're going sideways on the exit of turn 8. They're just pushing the car a little bit too hard there, trying to get themselves closer and closer to that HP multicolor printed HP car there. So it's going to be, again, only a couple more laps left to go here. So they're going to be feeling Beckevold now under immense pressure, which is going to be an opportunity for Jordan Johnson to just get away from this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. They got away from this fight. Both of these tires, or especially Philip Beckevold's, I think their tires might be done, because they were very loose going out of turn 6. It feels like their tires are just not agreeing with them. Maybe they overcooked them or something, because they're just bleeding time at this point, and it is costing them dearly. It looks like they may have, unfortunately, overused these tires, and is now, at this moment, caused an issue. But this makes things interesting. There's lap traffic up ahead. I don't know who it is. I can't tell who it is. I think it's Parker Olsen. heading
Actually,
down
that is
toward the
not Parker Olsen. That is going to be Ruzi Bun, a lap down on everybody. And it looks like Parker Olsen has retired from the race. They're currently sitting in the pit lane. They're not moving at all here. So I think the injury they had earlier here caused them to have too much damage, and they had to retire from the racing. So hopefully we're going to be seeing them in the second race here later today. Again, Belkebot here very deep in the bricks. I think they may have missed their apex again a little bit there, but it also looks like Palikui Grand is also struggling with their own tires as well here. They've lost a lot of ground to Belkebot there. Now the gap is almost over a second at this point here, so it looks like with only a minute left to go here, I think the fight has may finally have died down.
It may have finally died down. You can see Ruzi Bun sitting on the outside trying to get out of their way, and unfortunately they kind of were in like the worst spot possible to catch them, because they had really nowhere to go, and it may have just opened the gap for Jordan Johnson to kind of gain that gap that he needed to get that win. But now it is going to be down to one more lap, I believe. This will be it. After this will be the end, heading down toward the main straight. One lap to go. This will be one and only chance for Philip Beckerville to make something work, but I don't think there's going to be anything going.
Yeah, the gap is quite a lot there with 5/10 between them. So unless Jordan Johnson makes a big mistake going into these corners here, or Beckerville would manage to get themselves a mega send here, but anything can happen here. The gap is now only 3/10. Looks like Beckerville got themselves an even better launch into turn 2. They're getting themselves right up into the slipstream of Jordan Johnson here, going down through the parabolic curve they're heading into. It's going to be forcing Jordan Johnson to go on a defensive inside line there. We're going to be watching on board with Beckerville. They're trying to hustle themselves away on the outside of turn 6. That's going to be working there unless they can make a really good cutback move there. But no, that was not going to be happening there. But they are within striking range of Jordan Johnson. This is going to be a last lap showdown between Johnson here. Beckerville trying to make a move on the outside. They're sending the brakes steep. Going to be forcing Jordan Johnson on up the inside line there. Sorry about that. But yeah, Beckerville again trying to hustle themselves away here, trying to force Jordan Johnson into all of those unup ones here, but Jordan Johnson is having none of that. They're just holding themselves strong. There's going to be
you sure about that? Here we
go!
Into
turn 11.
There's contact!
Pushing Jordan Johnson into the gravel trap there. That's going to be Jordan Johnson out of the race there. Oh no, this is the absolute last thing you want to be doing, Beckerville.
The last thing you want to do, but guess what? That'll be the perfect thing for Palikui Grant. That might be just what they need. They may get this win off of penalties as we come down toward the last quarter. It'll be Philip Beckerville with the win, but I don't know. We'll have to get a replay of that. This might be on Beckerville. I honestly think that...
Now, let's watch this very closely. Got to be Jordan Johnson on the outside, Beckerville on the inside there. Beckerville's going to be making a huge send, but they're going to be coming together there. I think Beckerville just may have been a bit too deep on the brakes there, pushing Jordan Johnson out of the gravel trap there. Thankfully, they were able to get away with it, and Jordan Johnson managed to finish the race in P5 there, but that is going to be huge trauma on the last lap, but there's still going to be more trauma because that's going to be Daniel Surex there, going on the outside of Niklas Sand. It's going to be a last lap overtake. It's going to be a last lap drag race. And no, is
there a puncture?
Is he out of fuel? They're just bleeding position. They're bleeding time. They've slipped themselves all the way down into P50. I think they may have just miscalculated their fuel. A disaster for the German driver right there on the last lap.
Everything happened on the last lap. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Philip Beckerville. But this might be in a lot of controversy for race 1. I feel like it. I almost want to say this was commentary curse. I almost want to say this was commentary curse.
Maybe a little bit, but now we have a chance to breathe for a while here. There's going to be a couple of minutes warm-up session here once the race has concluded here. So that's going to be our top 10 is going to be Beckerville first, Palikui Grant second, Sarvan Flippen with that podium, surprise podium in P3 here. I think at some point Tubi may have lost some ground here because Sarvan Flippen actually managed to overtake Tubi for the start of the race here. But now it's going to be time for our next race. That's going to be our current. Actually, we can see this one. It's going to be Beckerville in first, Palikui Grant second, Sarvan Flippen third, Tubi fourth, Jordan Johnson unfortunately slipped down to fifth after that incident. It's going to be Neff in sixth, Rafael Rodriguez in seventh, F-Spirit in eighth, Guiando in ninth, and Vossi is rounding out our top 10 in 10th place, which is going to mean a German driver starting on a German track in pole position. That's going to be quite fun. Quite fun.
He's probably terrified. It's like that. It's like that meme, that couch meme.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that couch meme. I'm calling it now.
I'm sure it's going to be plenty fun here, but yeah, unfortunately, I think it looks like Starkey Faraday managed to get themselves going again, and they still just completed the race in the end, but it looks like Parker Awesome was the only retirement of our race proper here. So yeah, I think a bit of early race chaos there, but it looks like everyone else made it mostly in one piece toward the end, besides the last lap carnage.
I would love to get a different angle from that, because that. Oh, I don't know what happened there. It almost looked like he sent it on the inside and just misjudged it. Well, you could also make the argument that maybe Jordan didn't realize he was going to send it in and cut into him. It's just it was really hard. It was very hard to tell from the angle that we were in. That's the only reason I bring that up.
I guess we'll just leave that to the stewards to determine. Now we're going to be going quite late into the night. You can see the sun is almost set here. You can see our drivers with their headlights on there as they do their little warm-up around the track here. So that's going to be Vossi starting in P1, Giander right behind them in P2, and then it's going to be F-Spring in P3 and Rafael Rodriguez in P4 here. So do you think Vossi is going to have a chance to defend from these cars behind them?
Probably not. I'm just going to be real. Probably not.
I love your optimism. I love it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. If Vossi can get like an insane start and maybe try to build a little bit of a gap, that would be great, but we'll have to just wait and see. This is going to be a 5-minute break between now and race 2. This is just to kind of get things warmed up, maybe clear your mind, just kind of get yourself prepped for the next race. And I don't know. It's going to be, if we're going to get a repeat of what happened this time, I don't know. Actually, if you think about it, this is kind of huge for Jordan because they're now in P5. They're in the middle of the field. So they will not have to fight as hard as, say, Philip or Pally. So even though they were in P5, this could, as far as you think, if you think about it, this could work out for Jordan because they will have less cars to fight going up the field.
Yes, potentially, and there's gonna be very likely a penalty, or I'm not that sure, so I don't know, but there could be a penalty coming for Beckerbolt later on once the race has concluded here, so that's gonna be even more positions and points gained for Jordan Johnson here. So that's gonna be a very good optimum position, I guess, fortune in misfortune there to try to maximize whatever they can from the last lap spin they had there. Now going to be keeping our eye on Charter. That seems to be the only car on the track at the moment here, doing any laps at the moment here with about 2 minutes left of our warm-up session to go there. And yeah, it's looking quite dark there. I don't think it's going to be quite dark enough for our drivers to put on their full high beams on there, but a night race would be quite fun to see in these cars for sure.
In this track, definitely. It's definitely a track that you can kind of, you could see it. It would be nice if we had night races here, but I don't think we ever do. I don't think anyone ever does, in real life anyway. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but it could happen. They're now heading down.
Some long endurance races that happens in Hockenheim, but I'm actually not quite sure about that myself.
I don't know either. I'm not German, so I don't pay attention to German motorsports.
Understandable. 1 minute to go here. This is going to be our last lap for Charter there. In fact, they're not going to be able to complete this next lap here with only about a minute left of our warm-up session to go here. But they do get themselves a lap on the board. That's going to be a 44.109. Not quite close enough to beat a Neff, who's got themselves a 39.531 there. The only 2 cars at the moment here with any kind of lap on the board here. It looks like there's going to be a couple more cars who are also lapping the track at the moment here, but it's going to be quite late in the night. That's going to be 7 p.m. in-game time there, so the sun has already set here, which is going to mean cooler track as well. And because our drivers are going to be doing a standing start with no tire warmers here, we could also see more repeats of what we saw with Surex there in the first race there, where they just push the car a little bit too hard on those cold tires and then just spin around there.
Yeah, that would be super unfortunate, but hopefully that will not happen. Hopefully that will not happen. I don't know if it will happen. I think
you just did the most commentators curse of all commentators curse of all time. Gee, I really hope this driver doesn't spin around and die.
So I'm going to point this out. I don't know why, but usually when I say something, the opposite happens. So You could ask Saber. For whatever reason, 95% of the time that I've said something that's going to be one thing, it's usually the other. So I wouldn't call it a commentator's curse yet.
We shall see. We shall see. Now we're going to be getting ready for our grading part of our second race here in Hockenheim. It's going to be Vossi Tigris, German driver, starting on pole here, followed by Giando in P2, F-Spirit in P3, Rafael Rodriguez in P4. It's going to be then in fifth, it's going to be Neff, followed by Jordan Johnson, another American driver in P6. That's going to be then Tubi in P7, Saran Fieplan in P8, Palique Grant and Philip Becko rounding out that final grid slots of the top 10 there. So it's going to be a very, very close fight there, but for sure. So I think Philip Becko seems to be the driver with a little bit more pace compared to Palique. So I think Philip might have the launch of these two cars that might be able to get ahead, but we're going to be watching that very closely.
Yeah, we'll see once the lights go out, or once the lights go on. We'll wait and see. It looks like we're waiting up. Never mind. Here we go.
Yep, it's going to be lights on here. Vossi Tigris on pole there. It's going to be with massive corners all over us there. It's going to be 5 lights out, and away we go with the Vossi launch. A bit of wheel spin on their car. That's going to be not the best launch that we want there. It's going to be immediately challenged by F-Spirit on the inside into turn 1 there. There's going to be almost contact in between them, but it looks like F-Spirit managed to get themselves the launch they wanted. They're going to be again challenging Vossi Tigris, going down into turn 2 there with even more cars scrapping in the background there. But looks like Vossi just about trying to get themselves the better launch here, going around to 2 to 3 and now to 4. They got themselves the better run on the inside. It's going to be Neff. It's going to be Neff losing their tires there. Those cold tires bang disastrously to the green liveried car there, but we're going to be keeping our attention on F-Spirit, who's still side by side with Vossi going down. That's also Jordan Johnson right there as well, trying to maybe have a move on between these two cars there, but no, they're going to be backing out in the end there with there got to be F-Spirit managing to just about squeeze through, but Jordan Johnson also sneaking their way through as well. Now it's going to be a side-by-side battle between Johnson and Tigris. Going down into turn 7, it's going to be Jordan Johnson slotting themselves right behind there, waiting for another opportunity later on in the race. And we also see Rodriguez in the background. We also see Grant there, also in the background, making more hustling moves around Sarvan Fieplan and Toombi there. They didn't quite make those moves happening. That's going to be Jordan Johnson again now, getting that inside line again, going into turn 11. So this could be again the reverse of fortunes between Vossi and Jordan Johnson. Looks like Vossi backed out in the end here. There's going to be Jordan Johnson already in P2 with less than a lap of the race to go here. Vossi trying to hang around on the outside into the hairpin there, but no, it's going to be again position loss, and that's going to be them under threat from Rodriguez, from Sarvan Fieplan, from Toombi. That's going to be a showdown of Germans here very soon.
3 Germans in the top 5, all fighting for a spot. As we see Jordan Johnson starting to pull up toward Toombi. I told you that this mid position may help out Jordan Johnson massively. It's allowed him to get through this traffic a lot easier than our top 10 contenders. It's gonna make things so much better for him going later down the line, because it's gonna allow him to build a gap. As we see Vossi Tigris, I think they touched the curb a little bit, heading toward the parabolic. You can see Toombi doing everything they can to try to hold off Jordan Johnson. As we can see, I believe, Palique got ahead of Philip Beckevold at the start. And is now in the middle of this little fight here. As you can see, they're going on the very defensive line. You can see Jordan once again making a move on the inside. This is going to be the lead for them, I think. It absolutely is going to be the lead for them. As you can see, Palique Grant slowly but surely also making their way up. But I don't think this is going to be... it's going to be a little while for them to catch up to Jordan, and I think this might be exactly what Jordan needed.
That very much is it here. And it also looks like Rafael Rodriguez managed to hustle themselves around Vossi Tigris. Vossi Tigris went very deep in the brakes. I think they may have locked up a little bit going into turn 6 there, which lost in the position to Rafael Rodriguez. Now it's going to be the 3 Germans back-to-back there. No, it's going to be actually Palique Grant also managing to sneak themselves way through Toombi and Van Fieplan there. So it's going to be Germans, and then another German, and then a German, and then again another German, and then a German there in this pack here. A whole German sandwich with a bit of what is American and Norwegian filling in between that. So it's going to be quite a sandwich for them to enjoy there. But it's going to be Palique Grant. They're getting a really good launch on the exit of turn 14 here, going to chase down Vossi Tigris. Going to be having a peek on the inside into turn 1, but no, they're going to be backing out from that in the end there. So going to be hoping to make a move to happen a little bit later on. It looks like another really good launch from the American driver here, going down into turn 2. They're going to be now challenging themselves on the inside, diving themselves deep on those brakes. They're almost touching wheels with Vossi Tigris here, but there's nothing much that Vossi Tigris can do there. So it's going to be another position lost for for Vossi, a position gain for Palikui. That's going to be Beckable right behind them, so it's going to be even more very fast droppers right behind. So Vossi must be sweating bullets right now.
Absolutely, they're probably if the bottom of their car is not a puddle, I'd be shocked. So far, the one that has worked out best is obviously Jordan, because now they have open track, open everything, and the two closest contenders, Palikui and Philip Beckavold, they're still stuck in traffic. They still have to get through two or more cars to get to Jordan. So at this point, all Jordan has to do is just kind of cruise away and hope that maybe they get caught in a scuffle or something like that. But right now, it looks like this is Jordan Johnson's race to win.
Absolutely, indeed, and there's going to be a huge gap by the time Beckavold and Karan can cut their way through the field here, so there's not going to be even any chance of slipstream from them to try and catch up to Jordan Johnson. So it's going to be down to just Jordan Johnson trying to get as many fast laps as possible to keep this gap extended as much as possible there, with now Palikui trying to get themselves around Rafael Rodriguez and then F-Spirit later on there. The gap is not quite there yet to make this to happen, but they are definitely pushing hard there. Rafael Rodriguez on the gravel there on the exit of turn 40 here. That's going to be Beckavold attacking Vossi Tigris going down into turn 1, heading into turn 2. They have really good launch from Beckavold there. Again, maybe having a peek up on the inside into turn 2 there. Yeah, it's going to be a dive on the brakes heading down into turn 2 there. Vossi is trying to make that good send on the outside there, still forcing themselves to get on the outside. In fact, they might just step out, slot themselves back in front of Beckavold, almost coming to contact there. Beckavold having to take a bit of avoiding action there to avoid any insect there, but no, Beckavold is still hanging on to the rear window and on the right side window of Rodriguez. Very much diving deep into the brakes to her challenge for the second place of the race. I'm running out of breath here. I'm running out of brain cells here with so much happening on the track.
Yeah, absolutely, breathe, Denak. I've got this. We're following along now with Palikui Grant trying to make that move. They've got two cars ahead of them before Jordan Johnson. It looks as if F-Spirit lost a lot of time and they've lost their position to Rafael Rodriguez. And now heading down into turn 11, it looks like Palikui is just right on the bumper of F-Spirit, looking for maybe a move, but I don't think so. Not yet. It'll be close. I think they're going to maybe try it within either this lap or the next. The quicker that Palikui Grant can get ahead of these two cars, the quicker he can go after Jordan, who is now comfortably with a 2-second gap between him and the car behind.
You can't also forget that Philip Beckavold is right behind Palikui Grant as well here. So Palikui is going to be very much motivated trying to get themselves around Airspeed and Rafael Rodriguez as quickly as possible, so they can also put themselves as much distance as possible between himself and Beckavold here. But you can see also in the back that's going to be Van Viepland there, also hounding on the rear bumper of Vossi Tigris. That's going to be the final battle of the Germans. All the German drivers are going back to back there. But again, going to the front here, that's going to be Palikui Grant there, getting themselves also a really good launch there between F-Spirit and others here. But it's going to be hoping to maybe make a send going on the outside there, but looks like F-Spirit is going to be covering themselves up with a very deep inside. But no, Palikui Grant goes even more inside there, pushing, almost forcibly pushing F-Spirit wide into turn 6 there. That's going to be now a car separating themselves and Philip Beckavold there. So there's going to be a bit of breathing room for Palikui, but they still have one more car to go there before they can chase down Jordan.
One more car to go for Palikui Grant before they can start really pushing to try to gain the ground on Jordan. As you can see, Philip Beckavold, they were able to get it done on turn 9. They're now ahead of F-Spirit. So unfortunately, while hoping for a little bit of time to breathe, Palikui does not have much time to breathe. Beckavold is still right on their tail. It's a reverse of what happened the last time. It almost looks like Beckavold is just using Pali as almost like the tip of a spear to try to get around these cars, and not really making any hard moves, but is just trying to maybe just see an opportunity to try to get past these slower cars before making their charge toward Jordan Johnson.
It seems to be working very well there, because there's not going to be much time lost from Beckavold as opposed to Palikui, who has had to work really hard to carve their way through the field there. We also saw Vossi Tigris ended up losing a position to Sarah Van Viepland at some point, so they're going to be going under attack from Toomby right behind them as well. So that's going to be also another fight to pay attention to there in the background there. It's going to be now Van Viepland chasing down the Dutch driver, F-Spirit there, heading into turn 2 there with a really good tight line on the inside line there, but getting themselves right up on the outside of F-Spirit there, so they're going to be getting a massive slipstream going down to this very long right-hander, kind of a straight here, with also now Toompi now challenging their fellow German driver, not F-Spirit, Bossy Tigris there, heading side by side into the turn 6 airpin. It's also going to be a F-Spirit, and Van Vlieten also going side by side into turn 6 there, so it's going to be 2 for 1 overtakes happening there. Yeah, Bossy Tigris managed to hold on there just for now, but it looks like Toompi managed to cut themselves a cutback, with also F-Spirit also getting themselves a cutback, but no, they seem to have backed out right there in the end, and going to be giving this position to Van Vlieten there. But looks like Atumpi is definitely not backing down. They're still going to be fighting hard to get around Bossy.
And not only that, Philip Beckevold was able to get ahead of Paliqui in that fight. I think they sent it into turn 6 and were able to get around Paliqui Grant. Now riding on the bumper of Paliqui Grant, or now riding on the bumper of Philip Beckevold is Paliqui Grant. I almost want to say that that actually kind of works out for Pally in the end, because you can clearly see that they're the slightly faster driver here. So I think Pally is just going to do what Beckevold was doing earlier and use them as a tip of his spear, as we see Beckevold go very wide going out of turn 13 and then go out of wide of the last corner. It looks like it might be an opportunity for Pally. They might just be switching spots, which does not help them at all. As you can see, Rafael Rodriguez just kind of cruising at keeping them a fair distance away. This could work out for Rafael Rodriguez to maybe get a podium here.
This could work out indeed here, but what is still also working out, that's going to be Toompi trying to work them their way around Bossy Tigris to get themselves up into P7 here. They're again right on the rear bumper of their fellow German racing driver there, heading down through Parabolica into turn 6 there. Bossy Tigris, they get a very tight inside line there, but Toompi goes even deeper. They're trying to just slam their brakes hard there, but they don't seem to be having quite enough time there. No, they managed to make it stick there. They managed to just about get their car to stick there. I think that was not a lockup, but just a kick of dirt on the dirty inside line there. But no, Toompi just said, okay, you go inside, I go even more inside, and they just got that move to stick there. So very good racecraft from Toompi. They're going to be now chasing down F-Spirit to hopefully catch up to Sarah Fiefland again.
Yeah, absolutely. It very much looked like a single wheel lockup going into the corner, but it must have been, as you said, it must have been dust. Heading down into turn 11, Toompi slowly but surely trying to catch up to F-Spirit, who can then, which will then open the door for them to go after Sarah Van Vlieten, who is currently kind of in a bit of a rough spot. Ahead of them are Pally and Philip Beckevold. Behind them is F-Spirit. So long as Wushi kind of just holds on with Pally, it could work out for her, and maybe they'll be able to gain just enough gap to kind of keep themselves away. I'd also like to point out that the gap has now doubled between Raphael and Jordan Johnson. It's almost 5 seconds, or 4.5 seconds, I should say. So, yeah. Again, all this fighting has worked out massively for Jordan in the end.
Yeah, 5 seconds may as well be 5 minutes with how tight the margins are between these competitors here. With Beckevold, Paliqui, and Vlieten all trying to still get themselves around one more driver. That's going to be Rafael Rodriguez there. I think by the time they're going to be getting around there, the gap could be maybe up to like 6 or even... Not going to say that, about 6 seconds. But yeah, we're going to see later if there are going to be some massive gains to happen. But looks like Bossy Tigris managed to get themselves around Toompi again. So Toompi are going to have to again try to work their way through their other German driver there of Bossy Tigris. They're again going bumper to bumper heading into turns 8 and 9 there. So I think there may be maybe a slowdown from Toompi, which why we saw the yellow flag showing up on our broadcast graphics there, which caused them to but now it's going to be Beckevold right into the rear bumper of Rafael Rodriguez there with a really good launch from both Rafael, but even better launch from Beckevold, who's going to be making a little peek on the inside, heading into turn 12 there, but still not going to be quite enough time to get themselves. But now it's going to be a little bit of a loose moment from Rafael Rodriguez, going to be giving another opportunity for Beckevold to get themselves even closer and closer to Rafael Rodriguez there, but there's not going to be not enough space then for them to make a move there. But it's going to be another lap. It's going to be turn 1, turn 2. Turn 2 is going to be the spot where they're going to be hoping to look for a ascent there. So they're going to be setting themselves up with a nice, good launch heading into turn 1 there. Again, 2 wheels on the inside curb there, just using the maximum amount of space possible. Looks like Rafael is holding on that outside line here with going to be Beckevold actually not making a move yet, so they're going to be waiting for the last turn there. No, they're going to be going themselves on the outside of Rafael into turn 4, but that's going to be not quite enough space for Beckevold to make that move happen. So that's going to be now the slipstream battle, hitting down turn 5 into turn 6. There's going to be Beckevold taking that inside line there. Raphael does not seem to be finding it too hard there. There's going to be Raphael deep on the brakes there, but Beckevold even deeper on the brakes there, finally making that move to stick there, but they're going to be a little bit late on the exit there, which is going to be giving a slightly better exit for Raphael Rodriguez, but no, that's going to be the move center here, with now 5.7 seconds to gain on Jordan Johnson with about 50 minutes of the race, but that's going to be an enormous gap to try and gain back.
Absolutely. I don't think that's going to be very possible. I did say that that midpoint thing may help him immensely. As we can see, Raphael Rodriguez trying to fight back again, heading down toward turn 11. It looks like it's going to be a four-way fight for this last podium spot, as we see Philip Beckevold once again get ahead of Raphael Rodriguez, looking on the outside, heading on the inside. It looks like Beckevold may finally have it going into turn 13 and into the final corner. As we see right now, right behind them is Paliqui Grant. They're going to try to make a move, I think, like you said, on turn 2. They're right on the bumper of Raphael Rodriguez. They're just going to need to sit around and just kind of wait for the opportunity, heading out of turn 1 into turn 2. And so far, it looks like it's going to be it looks like maybe Pally might try to go for turn 6, similar to what Beckevold did, because they're right on the corner. It looks like they're going to try to maximize that power going out of the corner, and it's worked to perfection. Raphael Rodriguez goes very wide going out of turn 3. That's going to hurt them massively, as you see Paliqui Grant get a move on the outside. Is it going to be enough, because they have the better line going into turn 6? It looks like, though, they're going to file down. No, they aren't. They're going to try to fight this. Heading into turn 6, they're going to absolutely send it going into turn 6. Heading down toward turn 7. Pally has the worst line, though, so this may work out for Philip Beckevold heading down into 7. Beckevold just barely holds on, Raphael Rodriguez holds barely on as I think that might have been contact there. A light touch heading into turn 8. And now this could really hurt their chances. They could have damage heading into turn 10, into turn 11. So far, Pally just riding that bumper of Raphael Rodriguez. You can see ACDB pulling away as it looks like Pally had a massive lockup going into the corner, and it's opened the door for Sarah Von Viepelen, who is now in P4, getting around Paliqui Grant due to that mistake.
Too late on the brakes for Paliqui Grant, booping their nose a little bit too hard on the rear bumper of Raphael Rodriguez, giving a chance for Viepelen to go soaring through into P4 there. Very good racecraft from Viepelen, just wait for the right opportunity to set themselves up for a very good send into P4. Now going to be chasing down Raphael Rodriguez for a potential podium on their home race. That would be an amazing thing for them to have. Philip Beckevold also lost a little bit of ground trying to fight their way through Raphael Rodriguez, also trying to fight back from Raphael Rodriguez there. They're going to be capped now, sitting at 7 seconds, so I don't think there's going to be much chance for them to make that move happen. But I'm going to be keeping an eye now on Neff, who's going to be fighting between, I think there's going to be Newbie there on the inside. There's going to be Neff on the outside. They're heading into turns 2 and 3. They're almost touching bumpers there. There's going to be Raphael Rodriguez now having to force to go on the tight defensive inside line. They're heading into the hairpin with Van Viepelen not quite finding the way to make a switch back happen. But that's going to be losing them so much time, in fact, that now going to be Paliqui Grant right again in this fight to try and get themselves around Van Viepelen there to hope to get themselves back up into Beckevold's range there, but there's not going to be much time to do that, make that happen. It looks like a little bit late on the brakes there from Viepelen. They're giving a chance for Paliqui Grant to get another peek up on the inside there, but no, there's going to be not quite enough there. There's going to be again booping nose to bumper to bumper there with Beckevold, not Beckevold, Paliqui Grant there bouncing on the curbs on the exit of turn 10 there. So it's going to be losing even more ground there, giving a bit of more time for Raphael Rodriguez to beat, but it's going to be giving even more time for Philip Beckevold to just get away from this whole fight there, to try and chase down Jordan Johnson. But looking at our last lap times here, Beckevold still was almost a half a second slower compared to Jordan Johnson. So unless a miracle happens, I don't think there's going to be much for Beckevold to get a chance at P1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jordan Johnson has, fortunately for him, locked it in. They lucked out because of the incident, and they were able to capitalize on it. They may have lost points, but this win will still keep them a fair distance ahead of Philip Beckevold. So here's hoping, because it'll depend on what the stewards say. This could either open the gap massively, or it could hurt them immensely. We'll have to wait and see. following along now with this battle, it looks like things have started to finally start to even out a little bit. The gap between them is still only about 3 to 4 tenths between the two cars. But at the moment, so far, um, everything seems to be evening out at the moment, and hopefully, maybe just trying to settle down, get those tires reacquainted, and then maybe make a push later down the line.
Yes, looks like things have finally calmed down there in the end, so our gaps are stretching out there a little bit more here. Philip Beckman again extended that gap between himself and Rafa Rodriguez there, who is now stuck in that fight between Sarah Van Vlietland's pink and white Porsche Cup car there, right behind there. Got to be hitting down very fast into turn 11, that Mobile 1 curve there. With a really good send that this could be a chance for Van Vliet to go now on the outside. Rafa Rodriguez on the defensive inside line there into turn 12, but that's not going to be not quite enough time to... not quite enough distance or gap there to make a send happen there, but Rafa Rodriguez is definitely under pressure from the German racing driver there, heading down into now turns 15 and 16 there. Even hoping to get a nice, much better exit heading into this little small main straight there. Looks like they all got themselves nice and clean there, but Van Vlietland is still definitely in slipstream range of Rafa Rodriguez there. They're going to be now hoping to capitalize on that going into turn 2. Both cars, we're actually turn 1, both cars going to two-wheeling there, with now Rafa Rodriguez taking that very tight defensive inside line there. There's going to be a chance for Van Vlietland maybe make a set on the outside line there, but looks like Rafa Rodriguez didn't quite get that move done. No, it's going to be a switchback from Van Vlietland there, hoping to get that slipstream to their advantage. Now going down into the long right-hand, left-hander curve there, parabolic curve there. Now it's going to be bump drafting all the ways down into the hairpin turn there. It's going to be Rafa Rodriguez on that dirty inside line there. You can see them kicking up dust as they're going to be going deep in those brakes into the hairpin. They're going to be again defending their assault from the German racing driver right there, but they're just about managing to stay ahead.
Just barely staying ahead, but look who's taking advantage of it. That's Palagui Grant right behind them. They're right on the rear bumper of both of them. They're just trying to find that window to make a move. As you can see, Van Vlietland absolutely sent it into turn 9. Tried to make a move. It actually might work. Here we go, turning into turn 10. Søren Van Vlietland with the advantage, but it looks like it cost him so much time going into turn 11. It looks like it cost him a lot of time to make that move. And unfortunately, it has opened the door for Palagui Grant, who's going to absolutely send it into turn 12, making that move work. Finally, Palagui back in that position, and now has to catch up to Rafael Rodriguez again and make a move, looking to the outside, looking to the inside, trying to find a spot. You can see Sarah Van Vlietland holding onto the bumper. Palagui, as you can see, Rafael Rodriguez doing everything they can to hold on to the spot. They go very wide out of the last corner, but we're not able to lose too much time. Palagui Grant right on the bumper. Here we go, heading toward turn 2. Are we going to see a move on the inside, or maybe even a fake move? But no, not yet. As you can see, Pally just sending it a little bit going into turn 2, trying to gain that little bit of gap that he needs to make that move work. You can see Philip Beckman taking, or not Philip Beckman, Rafael Rodriguez taking that very defensive line on the inside. Palagui Grant absolutely trying to make a move, and you can see, here we go. Are they going to try to make a move on the outside heading into turn 6? Is it going to be a inside or outside? No, they can't. Sarah Van Vlietland again kind of hindering that process. They almost tried, they took a sniff on the inside, and I think that caused Pally to not be able to push it. You can see they're trying everything they can, get very loose out of the corner and looking for that move. You can see now this has become a 4-way fight. F-Spirit is now caught up to this little crowd here, and this is now a 4-way fight for the last spot in the podium.
4-way fight for the podium. You can also see in the background that's going to be also Tupi, who is also very much rubbing their hands. They're waiting for anything to happen between these 4 cars. There's going to be Palagui Grant again, deep on the brakes on the turn 12 hairpin there. Going to be a chance for Sarah Van Vlietland to get off the outside, now into the inside. Again, turns to the outside, heading into turn 15 and 16, and for turn 15 and 16 there, going into the next lap there. So again, Palagui Grant is definitely feeling the pressure, under attack from the German racing driver here, who's now going to be again rubbing bumpers going into the main straight there. I think Van Vlietland has to back out a little bit there to avoid getting any collisions with the Golden Dragon there, but thankfully no incident here so far. but Palicoy Grant is definitely making a little bit of mistakes, a couple of slip-ups here and there. That's costing them so much time there, because that could be Rodriguez now with a really decent gap here, 6/10 to Palicoy Grant right behind it. This could be a chance for Van Vlieten to make another move to happen on Palicoy Grant, who's still under pressure, not from one, but two drivers. That's going to be also F-Speed right in the background, hoping to capitalize on any kind of incidents or mistakes that going to be happening from the drivers ahead of them. They're still going to be going back to back, not side by side through turn 6 there, but it looks like that's not quite the best exit for Palicoy Grant. They was going to be putting themselves even further back from Rodriguez into the arms of Sarah Van Vlieten. They're going to be again, see if Van Vlieten might make a send here into turn 8 here. No, that's not going to happen, but they're getting very, very, very close there.
So close, so far, and yet so very far. As you can see, Palicoy Grant slowly but surely trying to gain that gap on Rafael Rodriguez. And so far, it's worked for Rafael Rodriguez's advantage. As you can see, they go wide again into turn 12. Here we go again. Sarah Van Vlieten tried to make a move on the inside, was not able to do it, and they had to back out. This will be, just to point out, we have 5 minutes left of this. And now heading down to the last corner, Rafael Rodriguez, again, trying to do everything they can to build that gap. And it is not working. And this fighting is just, it's really hindered Pally's ability to catch up to Philip Beckevold, who is now trying to catch up to Jordan Johnson, who now has an 8-second gap. I don't think that's going to be anything going unless Jordan makes a massive mistake. Now heading into turn 2, heading into turn 3, seems is kind of evened out for Rafael Rodriguez. Now looking to try to maybe gain a little bit of spot with Sarah and Palicoy fighting, but it could change any moment. It's been back and forth between these 4 drivers as Sarah Van Vlieten getting very deep on the brakes. It looks like they made a little bit of contact going into turn 6, heading into turn 7. That's unfortunately bumped them right into the hands of Espear, who is now trying to fight Sarah Van Vlieten going into turn 9 and turn 9. Going into turn 10, and again, this is going to be a 5-way fight. Toomby catching up to this 5-way battle for P3. Anything could happen. They've got 5 minutes.
Anything can happen with 5 minutes left. Exactly that. And these cars are just going very, very slow. They're just hustling their way around each other, just scrapping for position, losing massive amounts of time, not only to Beckevold, but to Jordan Johnson. Jordan Johnson has not been challenged by anybody after they got themselves around through the couple cars ahead of them. The gap is now almost 9 seconds between themselves and Philip Beckevold here. But though these drivers don't care about that at all. All they care about is getting this P3 position here. Again, Palicoy Grant has managed to catch right up into the rear bumper of Rafael Rodriguez. They're having a bit of a peek in their side view mirror heading into turn 1, just hoping to maybe unsettle them, just get themselves under pressure there. Looks like a very good launch from Palicoy Grant, who's managed to get themselves right on the outside line, heading into turn 2 there with Rafael Rodriguez forced to take that defensive inside line. They're going to that corner there. They're going to be again deep on the brakes there with Palicoy Grant, hoping to make that switchback move happen there. It seems to be just about working out there, because they're going to be right on the rear bumper of Rafael Rodriguez there. But now it's going to be Rodriguez again going all the way out there. It's going to be bump drafting almost. You can see the damage in those cars as they all have been scrapping so hard for the position. But this could be the final chance that Palicoy Grant needs there to finally make that send happen. It's going to be Palicoy on the outside there. Rafael Rodriguez really, really deep on the brakes on the inside. They might just miss their brakes. That was a bump from Sarah Van Vlieten to maybe push themselves a little bit further along there to still keep that fight going between themselves and Rodriguez. But no, it's not going to be quite there. They're going to be slowing themselves right behind again.
Slowing down. It's been back and forth between these 5 drivers. You can see the damage on Pally's car and Sarah Van Vlieten's. They have been fighting every inch. It looks like Pally may have some severe damage, because it looks like the front bumper may be caved in a little bit. They may have made contact. As you can see, Sarah Van Vlieten making a move on the outside, going into turn 9. Going to turn 8, heading into turn 9 now. Or no, I'm sorry, this is turn 12.
That's the hairpin.
Yeah.
That's the hairpin. It's going to be Palicoy Grant again forcing themselves back in front of Sarah Van Vlieten. Sarah Van Vlieten have to drive from the outside inside. I'm going to be surprised if they're going to try from the upside or inside somehow at this point.
Yeah, they'll take the Australian route, go upside down. Who knows? Heading down into turn 1. It's thankfully for Rafael Rodriguez, the gap has opened up a fair bit. The gap is almost a second. that magical number. As you can see, Sarah Von Vliet gonna try to make a move on the inside, gets the move done going into turn 2. Looking for a move on the turn 3 because Valakui Grant gets a much better exit going out of turn 3. They go very wide though. You can see Sarah Von Vliet taking the defensive line going into turn 6. Now heading down the Parabolica. Is there going to be a move by Pally to try to make a move on the inside? It looks like they may try to do it or may not. Trying so hard to try to make that move. You can see F-Spirit and Toombi are now also fighting. As you can see Toombi make a move on the inside going into turn 6. Anything, like I said, anything can happen. Toombi looks like they're going to get the job done heading into turn 7. Locking it in, yep, and they get the job done. As you can see Sarah Von Vliet ahead of Palakui Grant. It has been mayhem between these 5 drivers. We've been not able to catch up on anything else. The gap has just been way too small between these 3 drivers, and it is still not over. We still have one more lap to go of this chaos.
One more lap there. I think these cars have been fighting since lap 10 or something crazy like that. They have not been separated by more than a second for any of these laps for the past 10-15 minutes here, with now only 1 lap left to go. There's going to be Rafael Rodriguez's final chance to defend their top 3 position, their podium spot, the last podium spot of the race here. It's going to be a last lap shootout here with going to be Sarah Fields again trying to get a really good launch there on the 2 wheels on the inside curb. Again, Rafael Rodriguez taking that defensive, really tight defensive
they're
line
going to
there.
send it!
It's going to be Sarah Fields. It's going to be sending it again. Hard into turn 2 there with Van Vliet hoping to get that cut back happening there. Palakui Grant also thinking about doing the same exact thing here. So it's going to be now a reversal of fortune. That's going to be now Sarah Van Vliet heading into the rear bumper of not Futako here, Rafael Rodriguez there, hoping to maybe just on something. It's going to be bump drafting a little bit, going down the long straight here into turn 5 and now into the hairpin turn 6. Going to be, but again, Rodriguez taking that very classic defensive inside line there. So there's not going to be a chance for Van Vliet to make any move to happen there. But no, they're still clinging on. They're still right there. They're going to be hoping to maybe push Rafael Rodriguez even further along. Again, like they're glued to each other at this point, heading into turn 7, into turn 9 there. But there's got to be a bit of a separation between them, with Rafael Rodriguez still holding on to that position with only half a lap to go there. You're almost there, Rodriguez. Just a little bit longer there, but Fable is right there. They're going to be trying everything they can to try and get that podium position. There's going to be now into turn 11. There's going to be not many more chances for Van Vliet to make anything to happen there. But they're going to be right there.
They go wide! They go very wide!
Making their way all the way through into P4 there. But no, Van Vliet still tries to make a final send there into turn 12, but that's going to be not quite enough here. Palakui Grant again, just in the end, they're about to get themselves back up into P4 there. But it's going to be Jordan Johnson in P1, Philip Beckham in P2. But this was the fight that we wanted to see this whole time here. Rafael Rodriguez holds on into P3 right until the very end there. Palakui Grant P4, Van Vliet P5, Toombi P6, and P7 running out our top 7 right until the end.
At the very end. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Sarah Von Vliet. They go very wide going out of turn 11, and unfortunately it cost them so dearly. And that was just such an amazing fight. It came down to the very end. The very end. Hats off to Rafael Rodriguez. They were able to hold off these 2 amazing drivers for 15 minutes. That was wild.
Wild there. We also now have Aussie Tukis P8, Futako P9, Giando rounding out our top 10 here. So utterly insane racing right until the end here. But the driver who was the top of the field, that was Jordan Johnson. They were in the lead for most of race 1. They were absolutely in the lead for the entirety of race 2 there. So congratulations on Jordan Johnson getting themselves on almost a clean sweep of points there at the end of the race here, with a really good strong result from Beckham as well here, who might be getting penalized at the end here. I'm losing my voice here. My throat is getting clamped up here from all this yelling and shouting there, but I'm fine. This is going to be right about the end of the race here, and what a wild one indeed. And we still are only halfway through our season.
Mm-hmm. Anything could happen. Literally anything could happen, and my God, it is not stopped. It has not stopped since VIR, and I can see why so many people miss this series. We come back to it after a year and a half, and we get some of the tightest racing that we have seen in Simufur. Our commentators' voices are going to be shot by the end of this. I might be in trouble.
Drink water, yeah. We also see Jordan Johnson then taking some celebratory donuts on the main stretch here, as they deserve after a dominant race result there in the end here. So, yeah, that's going to be it for all of us here at Simufur, but we still have 3 more races left to go on our calendar here. Next week, it's going to be the Okayama International Circuit. We're going to be heading to Japan for a very fun race to happen there. So that's going to be happening next week. Stay tuned.